This is a Nikon ZFC. This is a Nikon ZFC, and by far one of my favorite cameras out of the Nikon lineup. Like, I did a video like a year or year and a half ago, pissed off the Nikon fanboys, that talked about my gripes with them announcing a camera like this in the ZFC lineup and not focusing on like a Z6 III, a heavy duty like film photography camera, or not film but a more video centric camera. And a lot of people in the comments said, hey, try the ZF. Well, I finally did. I rented it for over a week, and I'm going to share my experiences with you. And I will say, off the rip, damn, y'all commenters, you guys were right. But to a point. I'll explain why. Oh, actually, we're going to go through and check out some of the photos I did with it. Just a little quick street shooting walk around. We'll talk about the different lenses I use, and you'll get to see some behind the scenes of me going through and taking some of those shots. But enough talk. Let's talk about the ZF. So what is the Nikon ZF? Well, it's a full frame mirrorless camera, blended of that old school, almost Fuji-like design with the newer tech. Now, it's not the newest tech, but it's still new. You get the same 24.5 megapixel sensor found in a Nikon Z6 II, and you also get the new X-Speed 7 processor. It is a single processor. It's not stacked or partially stacked or anything like that. So it's just slightly slow, not slower, but different than the Z6 III. But combining that with 5-axis IBIS, it surprisingly is a very good photography camera as well as video camera. Now, video specs wise, it can do shoot 4K or up to 1080 120 for slow motion. You get 10-bit recording options as well, and you get N-Log, which is a really nice blend. So it's a single sensor, not as partially stacked or anything like that, like the Z6 III. So a lot of people will tend to go back and forth between, do they buy the ZF, which starts about like $1,900 for the body alone, versus the Z6 III, which is at $2,400 or $2,500 for the body alone. Now, comparing and contrasting, like, is it worth more for having a stacked sensor at $500? To me, honestly, I think it comes down to what's your goal. Are you a photographer or videographer? Because the video features are nice, but with the 4K 60, you do get a little bit of a crop, whereas with the other versions, you don't. It's oversampled from a 6K sensor. So there's just that to think about. And it's only up to 10-bit. The Z6 III, you get full 12-bit and a lot more video options, in my personal opinion. And that's one reason like why I went to Z6 III, but that's for a whole another story. Just like any other Nikon with the newest lineup, you do get that full articulating LCD screen, which is perfect in a pinch. Especially different on the retro camera like this, but it works surprisingly well. Versus if you look like the old Z50 where like flip down, like this has a full, you go up, left, right, and all that. It has a beautiful OLED EVF. I have to say, like, it just looks perfect. It's easy as a photographer in the new mirrorless age that we get to the point where we just forget like where we came from in this technology, with how great autofocus is, and yeah, even on an Nikon, being able to literally track your objects with pinpoint precision, have pre-shooting abilities to get all your hits regardless of when you hit the shutter button. Like, it's kind of insane to just kind of simplify it back down and focusing on just taking a shot. And most cameras, if you just put it on full auto, you get pretty stuff for an average user. Like, even with the Z6 III, put it on auto and anybody can take a decent picture with a nice lens. But with the ZF, it just makes the user stop and think about the shot. Like, why are they picking these settings? You know, why are they shooting it this way? You know, why does all of this matter? And the analog dials are not just for show. Like, they make you stop and think. And I found every time I was shooting with this camera, I wanted to stop and think about what I'm composing and why. Why am I choosing this shutter speed? Why am I choosing this ISO? Why am I choosing this aperture? And it kind of let me soak in the moment, right? Like, you get to really do slow down and experience it before you just take that one shot. And yes, you can do burst shots and all that stuff too, but I found in single shot mode, it was just that je ne sais quoi, if you will. Now, to get the full experience, I did take it to Huntington Beach, California on a nice local morning where there was a full street fair going on. And honestly, it was just fun. Like, you're probably asking, like, how is a camera even fun? Like, look, it literally was Nikon going after that Fuji market. And I questioned about jumping over to Fuji myself when they announced the XM5. Like, the aesthetics and the feel of it, like, I wasn't getting it at first. But when I did get my hands on the Nikon Zf, I honestly felt challenged as a photographer for the first time in a while. And it was that kind of different perspective that really refreshed like my love for the craft. And I've honestly been missing that love for like the past year. Prior to COVID, my photography business was really starting to take off, and I was starting to get into more like weddings and things like that. And since then, business, my little side business completely shut down. And honestly, I found myself just really focusing on doing video work for myself, bringing up this YouTube channel, and I even got back to a 9 to 5 to just make ends meet. And that's really where, like, when I picked up the ZF, I hadn't felt something that I've felt in a while. Like when I use like my Z30 or my Z6, which is what I'm using to record this right now, but when I pick up cameras like that, I felt like it's work camera, like it's a work mode, right? Like I could gear this up to be a work beast. Whereas with the ZF, it felt exciting to pick up, and like it just made me want to stop and take a picture. Like when I take shots, like with a Z30 or when I take shots on my camera, like usually I'm throwing in a little, like a 5-shot burst or even more, depending on the situation, to make sure I don't miss the shot. Like this is a work camera, right? And with the ZF, it just felt like slow down. Yeah, so like being able to pick up a camera and have dials, like hard dials, just make you really think about how you're composing your shot or setting your camera up for your shoot. It makes you just appreciate the whole point of photography in the first place. Like, yeah, you can switch into full auto mode, but what's the point of shooting in full auto? Like, as a photographer, you get to go back to your roots and just understand the complexity of just what makes an image the image. And the camera itself gives the user that full analog control over each shot. And so it was fun, but it also was challenging. And that's really where all of those mindsets really kind of kicked in. Some of the things that come up, like the unergonomic part of it, is the camera itself is not ergonomic. So like when I combine it with a bigger lens, like a 24 to 70 2.8, like that is a big chunky lens. Like that's like a big lens, right? Like even for as compact as it is. And holding the camera, so kind of like imagine like the Z30. I have a cage on it, right? But like you don't get the same grip that you do on like the Z6 lineup or Z7 lineup. So you just have the square body and like a little nub. So what you find up doing is you have to have some kind of wrist strap or something attached to this camera, and you're always holding it by that lens, more so than you find yourself holding it by like the body itself. Not to say that the mount itself is going to be weak or break on you, but it's just hard to grip. So like I found myself really kind of holding it by the base and then holding it right here. So then I couldn't necessarily like just grab it and like just trust like I could just run off like this and pull it. Like I was always double fisting in a way, if you will. So there's that. You can buy an attachment, like Small Rig sells an extender where you can have a bigger grip. I do recommend. I didn't have it, but I do recommend if you are going to buy the camera, do get it. Just it feels a lot more natural compared to your newer cameras, and it still looks the aesthetic just fine. If you're using a smaller lens though, it's not going to be an issue. I actually used a 20 millimeter Viltrox 2.8 lens. I found that was a nice go around lens. It'd be nice with a pancake lens or something a little more retro to match the whole retro aesthetic. But honestly, if you don't got the money for a lens like that, the Viltrox is just fine. And honestly, it hits. I really couldn't complain about using that 20 millimeter at all. It felt comfortable. It was fast. And the nice thing is you can use older F mounts. But of course, with that adapter, it's still going to stick out a little bit like a sore thumb. But I do recommend, if you're going to use the adapter, use the FTZ2 versus the original, because the original, you have that like nub and it's annoying. So at the end of the day, the Nikon ZF was in contention, honestly, to be my next purchase. So like I mentioned earlier, I was going back and forth during the holiday season to either I want to buy the ZF or do I want to buy a new workhorse like the Z6 III. I ended up buying a Z6 III. Only because I am more focused on video work, and the Z6 III just offers a little bit more with 6K footage abilities, a 12-bit N-Log and RAW capabilities like that. Like it felt right for me. Plus, I got a huge deal with trade-ins of my old 5500. So I couldn't complain. Given with the announcement of the Z52, the ZF-C2, if it does come out, I think that might be my next camera, like my next fun camera. Like, I like the size of the ZF and I like the size of the Z30. And knowing what the ZF felt like after a while, to see the Z50 kind of tech put into a ZF-C2, that'd definitely be a camera for me to get. So, to me, the ZF is that weekend sports car. Like, yes, it's powerful enough to be everyday camera or everyday car, right? But it's just more fun to pull it out and just enjoy it during the weekends. Like, or have fun for like personal shooting, travel shooting, if you will. Like the Z6 or the Z6 III, like those are workhorses. Those are my everyday, I got to work on a project, like I'm going to pull those out. But a ZF would even be a good second camera, and family camera, vacation camera, like that all around. Like it could go toe to toe with either or, right? But to me, like you buy the truck for work because that's what you're going to beat up. You buy the ZF like the sports car, you just want to take out and show off. You want to just pop up and show, homies. Okay. I'm not Kendrick. But, all right. Enough about my thoughts, right? Like, what about you? Have you had a chance to actually use the ZF yet? Are you still even considering it as your next purchase? Let me know in the comments below if you've used it or if you're thinking about it, your experiences, maybe your questions. Let me know, and I'll go ahead and give you some answers in a follow-up video and hopefully help you make a decision if you're deciding to purchase it or not, if that's a camera to go for. I think, my opinion, if you really want my opinion, you're watching this video for my opinion, it's honestly a worthwhile camera, especially if you can get a good deal on it. But until then, give this comment or video a like. Not this comment, give this video a like. Give it a little thumbs up. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, if you made it this far, leave a little camera emoji and I'll shout you out in my next video. I appreciate all you guys who take the time to do that, but that's my little code today. Put the little camera emoji, little right? Okay. I'm Joe. This is Moto Excel. And as always, get out of here, go shoot. I'm thinking of new catch lines. It's almost 2025. If not, it is 2025. So get out. Watch more videos, right? Subscribe to the channel, but otherwise, get out. Go shoot. Peace. Oh, and if you like this, backdrop instead, I'm using my, this is my streaming setup, and maybe I'll just use this for more videos. It's not the same, background aesthetic as I normally do, and you can see, more of, comfort area over there, so it's a little different. I'm lazy. I didn't want to move my prompter this time, so, yeah. All right, I gotta go work on more content. Bye.